Hello everyone, this is Zesta Herbal Soap Skincare and Lifestyle. So this will be a quick one, okay? I'm going to answer just 3 questions. Can I add calcium carbonate to my soap? That's question number 1. Question number 2, can I add starch and calcium carbonate to my soap? That's question number 2. Question number 3, what is the function of global salt in soap? That's question number 3. So let's answer them one by one. So if you have not been following me on all my social media bundles, be it on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, please try and follow me. Okay? My name is Zesta. You see it's Zesta Herbal. Okay, on Facebook, Zesta Herbal. Here on TikTok, Zesta Herbal Soap and Skincare on YouTube. Please try and follow me so that you keep on and you'll be updated anytime I post any new content. So number 1, can I add calcium to my soap? Yes, you can add calcium carbonate to your soap. Calcium carbonate functions as a very cheap filler, and it also adds weight to your soap. Especially now that things are expensive, calcium carbonate as a cheap filler also helps you make some more profit on your product. Apart from that, it also hardens the soap and gives it weight. Okay, so yes, you can add calcium carbonate to your soap, but mind you, calcium carbonate will make your soap opaque if you're trying to get translucency or transparency. You'll not be able to achieve that with calcium carbonate. Okay, but if you want bright colors, vibrant colors, you want, let's say you want a different shade of pink, like this cloth I'm wearing, this pink I'm wearing. Let's say you want a more brighter shade of this pink. You add calcium carbonate to the soap. It will give you another pink that is more brighter. Okay, so it also improves the color depending on what you're trying to achieve. But definitely you will not get transparency or translucency with calcium carbonate. I'm just waking up early in the morning now. In short, I've never repaired my bed. I've not done anything. I just prayed and somebody called me and asked me this question. I said, okay, let me just do a short live for you on it. Okay. Then the number 2 question, can I add starch to my soap? And can I also add starch and calcium carbonate to my soap? Yes. You can add starch to your soap. Starch will act as a thickener. Okay. It can even improve separation. But you don't put starch too much or anyhow in your soap. And yes, you can add it together with your calcium carbonate because it will help improve the texture of your soap also. Okay, starch does that. Starch gives your soap this kind of gel-like consistency and look. But as I said, you don't put it anyhow. You don't put it too much in your soap. Okay. Then the number 3 question. What is the function of global salt in soap? Global salt it can also be known as sodium sulfate. Yes, you can add your global salt or your sodium sulfate to your soap. It acts as a hardener and it improves the texture of the soap such that when you are handling your soap is not too mushy or too soft. It's not gumming anyhow to your hands. Okay, so before I continue on this sodium sulfate, remember we have classes. Okay, if you want to know more, you can join our classes. Our classes are online on Telegram. Some people come for physical. For example, me, I'm in Kaduna State. Some people come for physical. Those that are in Kaduna State. Some even from far, they come. But mostly, we have online classes. If you want one-on-one, we can arrange that. If you want consultation, we are available. We have about 16 courses. Not only soap, we also deal with cream making, pro mixing, screen printing, all this. Okay, you can chat us up to know more. And if you need cutters for your soap, we also have them. Okay, so that's by the way. Let's continue. So now this sodium sulfate is not the only hardener you can add to your soap. You can add things like even your normal cooking soap and cooking salt to your soap. You can add your normal cooking salt to your soap. It will harden your soap. For example, your cooking salt, you can add for each 500 mils, you can add 1 teaspoon. For each 1 liter, you can add 1 tablespoon, okay, of salt. And that will harden your soap and give it a nice texture. Now that Harmattan has come, this season is good for us soap makers because our soap dry on time. Even when you cut your soap, as you're cutting it, before you finish cutting it, has already started hardening. When you add sodium sulfate or salt to your soap, even rock salt to your soap, it not only have skin benefits, especially rock salt. They don't only have skin benefit, they make the soap strong on time. Immediately you cut, before you finish cutting everything, the soap is easy for you to hold on your hand without it being mushy or your fingerprint sticking to the soap, okay? So yes, you can add your global salt or your sodium sulfate, you can add your rock salt, you can add your cooking salt, and yes, you can add your calcium carbonate, you can add your starch. But as I said with the starch, from my own personal experience, you don't put too much starch in soap, okay? Even though I don't even use it again, I use more of calcium, okay, and sodium sulfate. I hardly use starch because starch now, if you want to buy starch in the market, starch is expensive. Except if you have access to people that maybe they make starch locally, okay. Maybe people that get theirs from cassava. Maybe they make akpu, or I don't even think if you make akpu you just starch. Most of the starch is used, okay. Maybe there are people that make starch, but like here in the north, like people that make this kose rogo, you get starch from them, okay. So if you're the kind of person that use starch, fine. But in my bar soaps, I don't use starch. But if you are the type that have use starch because you have access to it, yes, you can use the starch, but don't use much. You can put more of calcium than starch in your soap, okay. So thank you very much for watching. Ciao.